MozFest, thank you for, is this on? Now this is on, great. So again, hey MozFest, thank you for being here. Normally when I get up on stage, my team stands around me and tells me to smile more because apparently I look way too serious. The nice thing about MozFest is that being here, seeing all of these bursts of creativity makes me so happy that today nobody told me to get up on stage and not look so serious. And one of the main reasons I've been coming to MozFest so many years, and this makes me so happy, is that I feel even though we come from very different backgrounds and different countries and very different walks of life, there's a lot of shared experience of our internet usage and of how we live on the web and what we do and what the open web means to us. And the kind of opportunity it has brought to us and the knowledge we share there, and probably for many of us, and certainly me most importantly, the kind of friendships I've made over the past, way too many years. And I would say that for most of us, we also our livelihood depends on the open web. We all live in some way by working on or around the internet. And when you look at this shared experience and what this means to us, I think you can't help but ask yourself, and you can't help but care about what happens to the rest of the world, because over half of the population is still not connected to the internet. What would that even mean to them? Because most certainly their experiences, their needs will be very different from ours. But how do we bring this opportunity that has made us so, I don't mean financially rich, but rich in so many aspects of our life, how can we bring that to the next billion people? Because if you look at a map of the world today, I was surprised to find out that even in the US, you have 16% of the people still offline. But that's a really good penetration of internet usage already. And when you continue looking across the world, there are many countries where not just a majority, but almost everybody is offline. And when you look at the cost of actually getting online, it is so much cheaper in the countries where we could actually afford to pay more, though I do complain about my data and especially roaming plans often enough. But in many countries of the world, and even in India, and I think we've all read a lot about India in the past few years, there's still the absolute vast majority of people that are offline. And actually in India, in absolute numbers, that is the next billion right there. So we care. What can we do about this? And the problem around connecting the next billion people or the next 4 billion people is far more complex than you would think at a first look or at the outside. Because of course there is, and I mean, I think that's quite obvious, there's a big infrastructure problem. If you don't have infrastructure, you're not going to get online, and somebody has to build all of this, and that's quite obvious. You also, and you saw that on the slide before, you also have an affordability issue. If you have to spend a large amount of your already fairly low wage to access the internet, why would you do that? Food, shelter, there's so many things that are more important to people in their lives right now than getting access to the internet. But there are other factors that are often overlooked and that have been overlooked in the past. And I'm really glad to see all of the work that Mozilla has done around web literacy, for example, because if you don't have the right skill sets, if you don't have the kind of awareness of the opportunity that the internet can bring to you, and if there's not a broader cultural acceptance, you're not going to go online even if somebody puts a cable and a solar charger right in front of your house. And last, but for me, because I come from the content space, certainly not least, is what kind of content actually matters. I think we all use very different things, but we probably have a fairly shared experience of cat videos and friendships on Facebook. But does that really matter to somebody in India? If you look at it, and you realize that 80% of the content online is in one of 10 major languages. I mean, we always assume that everybody speaks English, and maybe enough English to have a short conversation or ask for the way, but that does not necessarily enable you to access great content. That does not enable you to use services that are not localized and find your way through that. And that, in many cases, means that you probably, even if you got that far and you went online, you wouldn't really see the relevance of that to your life. And I think we have to start thinking differently about what does relevant content mean in very different personal contexts and in different countries. And it's not only about getting people to consume that content, but the question is also, how do we encourage a broader ecosystem? How do we encourage more production of that content? Because in the past, as I said, part of the problem of this whole debate is that we have been over-focused on the infrastructure question because it's such a big and expensive one, to be honest. And we have been overly focused, and we, with we, I don't mean Mozilla, I mean all of us involved in this debate. The debate has been very focused on affordability because that is such a high burden, and it is probably also easier to address through business development interventions than the web literacy part or encouraging the production of content. And most of you are probably aware of the first programs out there that are trying to give access to people. And as you probably also all know, Mozilla is not particularly happy with what we've seen so far, because the programs that are out there right now usually rely on one gatekeeper giving a very limited piece of access to a population and somebody determining what their internet experience looks like, what kind of content they have access to. It is tightly controlled, and to us, and I think to all of us, that's the exact opposite of the open web. That's the exact opposite of encouraging creativity and bringing this economic opportunity. And that's not the kind of web experience we would like to have shared. But we at Mozilla, somebody told me only this morning, we can and we must do better and not only complain. So the complaining has been over for quite a while at Mozilla. We have a number of great projects in the making. The policy team has been working on policy interventions for quite a while. There's a lot of research going on that into this space that we're hoping to publish either at the end of this year or at the beginning of next year. But we thought there's this element missing that is about specific solutions. So at the beginning of the year when I joined, we stuck a couple of really smart people into a room, from policy, tech people. We thought about this a lot and we realized, yeah, we're really smart, but we can't solve this. And why can't we solve this? Because there probably isn't one simple solution to this. It's a mix, because the problem is so complex, and you can, I guess, find one solution to the infrastructure problem, but that's not going to solve all of the other issues. So there's not one solution. We need many minds thinking about this, and we need to do what Mozilla actually does best. We need to reach out to our community, to as many people as we can get. We need to reach out to our networks and get as many passionate, caring, really smart people involved in this. And this is how we came up with the Equal Rating Innovation Challenge. Which is, there's a timeline for that, which we officially launched. Mitchell launched in Washington, D.C. a few weeks ago. I'm super excited because on Tuesday, we're kicking off submissions, and there's about a 2-month period where we accept submissions. We don't really know yet what to expect. We're super excited about seeing many, many different solutions that address different part of the problems, probably in different stages, from early concept to some market experience in localized markets. We'll have finalists mid-January, and this is where this goes beyond a very simple, as you can see on the homepage later, there's prize money, $250,000, but this really isn't so much about finding that 1, 2, 3 solutions. This really isn't as much about the money. This is about, for us, bringing people together, bringing caring, thoughtful, smart, people together, from the policymakers to local entrepreneurs, because we can't cover all of this. This is really about building a long-term sustainable community that will hopefully last way beyond this challenge, and that will keep going and keep working on this problem. And that's why a key part of this challenge for the finalists is also the kind of mentorship. We really want to open up our networks, connect the people to the right people within our network that can help them take their solutions to the next level. And that's not only a financial thing. There's mentorship, support, there's tapping into networks for possible follow-up financing. Then we will have, and that's what we're really excited about, we'll have a demo day in March where we can, where we invite everybody and we look at all the solutions. We'll have the winners at the end of March, and that really, again, as I said, is just the beginning of more discourse, of more community interaction, of seeing solutions grow on the ground, understanding what is replicable in other countries, seeing what we can scale and what always needs to be fairly localized. And as always with Mozilla, this is something where all of you can get involved. You don't have to have that one solution, but you can join the debate. You can help us think about this. You can share this with your networks. You can take this home to your countries, wherever you come from. If you think somebody could be interested, please reach out, share the information. If you're interested, there's a series of webinars on the website throughout November where we talk more about the background facts, where we talk more about how this challenge works. There's a lot of background info on the website as well. So really join us for this. Let's take the spirit of MozFest and what excites all of us about the open web and make sure we can extend this to as many people as possible. Thank you.
How exciting, an innovation fund, and to go out there. And actually, what you were saying about India made me think, I didn't introduce myself at the beginning. My name's Sarah Marshall, and my day job is at the Wall Street Journal, and we just did this report about this gender gap in India with mobile phones. And I was really surprised, perhaps I shouldn't have been so surprised to learn that there are 114 million more phones for men than women, so there's this big gender gap. And like you say, it's not just about the cost of that; it's about the mindset and what is appropriate for different genders.
I'm super glad you said that, because I clearly failed at throwing the super important fact at you that actually I really deeply care about. Because if you look at the statistic worldwide, women are only half as likely to be connected to the internet as men, and I think that is such a crucial fact here that we need to address, and that we also need to keep in mind when we design solutions for that. What does that actually mean? Why are women so much less likely? Why do they have less access? What's the cultural context in which women live that makes it so much harder for them either to see the benefits or throughout their cultural context get access to that? And I'd love to be able to tackle the gender gap at the same time as the digital divide.
Yeah, that's great. So let's have a conversation. I know that you have innovation in the title, but I know that you're all kind of innovators, and feel free, to raise your hand to either ask Katharina a question and kind of ask her more about an area of the fund or whatever. But feel free, if there's something that's resonated, to make a point or to kind of explain very briefly something that you've worked on or that we could all learn from in terms of what the overall aims are, then please kind of raise your hand, and if not, I will ask a couple more questions. So please do. Don't be shy. Anybody got a question or a comment, or has anybody worked in kind of digital inclusion or
I think everybody
kind of
needs
the gender
lunch
gap?
and coffee.
Everybody wants lunch and coffee. Everybody wants lunch and coffee. Okay, so if there are no questions, then I will kind of take the liberty,
Please,
if I may.
go ahead.
So kind of about this fund, you said that we need to kind of start thinking about it now. How does it kind of break down the nitty-gritty? Is it kind of an application process? How does it work? Are you kind of encouraging people in different countries to apply, I'm guessing, rather than just kind of the people who are probably flown in here?
Well, I'd love to see what the people that flew into London can come up with. But we're really trying to set this up as a very global challenge, because as I said earlier, I don't think there is one solution that a handful of smart people in San Francisco are going to dream up. I think there will be very different local approaches to this, and we often have this tendency to presume we know how life in other faraway countries works when the experience on the ground is so vastly different. And I don't want to presume I know enough to really, because I don't have that perspective. I don't know what are the real needs on the ground, what are novel solutions that might already exist in some countries, that where the challenge can be really helpful in surfacing them and making them replicable across other countries, or helping a solution scale that some people might have already tried locally. So we're really hoping to get very, very many different ideas, not just focused on one of the key issues, not just focused on one geographic region or one specific subgroup of the population. We're really curious to see the whole breadth of creativity and bold thinking that is out there. And honestly, we don't really know what to expect. Because we're also doing this for the first time around this topic. And as I said, it's all explained on the website, equalrating.com. There's a submissions form, and that walks you really through what do we really need to know to be able to understand your solution and judge your solution. It opens up on Tuesday, and then you have over 2 months to submit your ideas and help us let them shine and surface them and see what we can make of that together.
And the prize money, it's not just one prize, or is it like
that's
lots
also,
of...
it's split into several parts, and for example, we have one for most novel solution.
Okay.
We have one for scalability. There are different aspects to it, but it's you will find all of that laid out in detail if you're interested.
And did you have a question? I can see right in front of me.
Yes, I was...
If you just wait for the microphone, just because of the people not in the room.
While you were talking, I was just going over my head, and I was thinking, like, you're reaching out to the people who are connected on the web. The people in the community will be people who have all this access, and you're not getting to the people who don't in this way. And have you ever considered talking to, for instance, libraries associations who are everywhere around the world, in touch with local communities, and see if you can get the wishes and needs from the people that are not connected?
That's a really good point. So I'm clearly not only flying to London to talk to the super connected people. Several members of my team will be traveling other countries, other continents, to speak to impact hubs there, to speak to local entrepreneurs, the different political constituencies. But we do rely on all of you and all of the connected to spread the words, wherever you come from. And one of the things I really deeply value about Mozilla is that we already have this rather broad and also geographically very diverse community. So we really tap into the larger Mozilla project community for that as well, and we hope that the people here from Taiwan will take that back, and the people here from India, and even if they're not here, maybe they're watching this on Air Mozilla, they're reading about it on social media, and I think there's not a simple way to reach as many people as possible, but we have all of these Mozilla stepping stones that will hopefully carry this forth into their communities and honestly beyond Twitter.
So you are all stepping stones, so please do go share and take that message. I think it's, let's all agree at least that it's a force for good. Thank you to both speakers.
Thank you.